a fence post, dust trail in the rear view glass. Granddad's hands on a photo says this land's gonna outlast the past. From Cody down to Cheyenne, we raise kids on work and prayer. They keep talking in that marble town, but our hearts ain't moving there. Wyoming won't back down. We're the wind through the pines, not the noise in the crowd. Red rock, white snow, big sky, battleground. We don't bow to parties, we don't chase the crown. From the mountains to the plains, we're shouting loud. Wyoming won't back down. Oh, back down. Kitchen light on a midnight, bill spread on the hardwood floor. Mama humming while the coffee brews, baby boots by the back porch door. Ranch gates, rail towns, back roads, different names, same worn boots. We're tired of pins behind polished desks, pulling on our roots. We are families, not factions. We are neighbors, not lines on a chart. You can write your rules in 1,000-page chapters, but you won't rewrite our hearts. From the Tetons to the sagebrush, we're taking our say back now. Not for sale to that distant crowd. Get out. Sun up, boots on, coffee in a stained red cup, a Bible in the dash as that old truck fires up. She's braiding her hair, I'm grabbing my hat off the nail. We pray right there in the gravel, then hit that cattle trail. Dust, bruising Jesus, that's the life that frees us. Farmers' tans and worn out hands, yeah, that's how he leaves us. Campfire smoke on our clothes, hay in our hair, Lord, you see us. Cowboy hats tip low, but our hearts are riding high on dust, bruises, and Jesus.
Beyond the Fence Line, where we step past the headlines and into the truth. This show isn't about left or right, it's about what's real in Wyoming, across the country, and around the world. No spin, no talking points, just facts, context, and honest conversation. If you're tired of being managed instead of informed, you're in the right place. Let's go beyond the fence line. And now, here is your host, Joseph Kibler, candidate for Wyoming governor in 2026. Welcome to Wyoming.
Well,
Beyond the Fence
hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well today. You guys ready for summer? It's going to be summer here in Wyoming tomorrow. I don't know if you guys saw that. We're going to get up to like 80 degrees in the next couple of days. Totally wild, right? 72-degree swing here in Cheyenne this week from 7 degrees to like 80 degrees. So go figure. All right. Welcome to Wyoming. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. I am Joseph Kibler, your candidate for Wyoming governor in 2026, because we're going to go and we're going to be something different, right? So today, well, we're talking about what I consider very, very simple concepts. First and Second Amendment of the United States of America, free speech and gun rights. Yet somehow we have infinitely complicated these things, have we not? So we're going to talk about those things today. But before I get started, I'm going to do my questions for humans. Let's see what we've got here today. So what's your favorite t-shirt and what does it say about you? All right. You know what? I had a favorite t-shirt for a really long time. I actually don't have it anymore. It was a green shirt, a bright green shirt, and it said, "Come on, son," right here on the front from the show Psych. If any of you guys have seen the show Psych, I like it. It's my sense of humor. So anyway, it's probably my favorite t-shirt because it kind of matches my sense of humor. It's just like, hey, come on, son. Anyway, so that's my favorite t-shirt. If you have a favorite t-shirt, why don't you post below? Why don't you? This is my favorite t-shirt and why. I mean, right now I probably have a t-shirt. I've been having issues with my light lately. I do have a t-shirt in honor of Charlie Kirk, I think, too. That's probably one of my favorite t-shirts right now. It basically just says that whom the sun sets free are free indeed. And I like that shirt as well. Anyways, with that, let's talk about, by the way, when I do issues talks on my show, I really don't have to do a lot of prep time or a lot of like, let's think about this, or let's worry about this, or let's write a ton of notes, because today's topics are really, really quite simple to me. So the First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of press, or of the right of the people to peacefully assemble and petition the government for a redress of grievances. So, by the way, I think today's show will be shorter than usual because these topics, these issues, like I said, they're pretty simple for me. Anyway, so let's talk about this free speech thing. We have so infinitely complicated this with bureaucracy. And I might argue that even, the establishment, if you will, the major parties have so complicated this issue. The bottom line is you can say whatever you want, whether I like it or not. Oh, I know. Novel concept, right? Which also means, by the way, that I can say whatever I want, whether you like it or not. This idea that we need to somehow regulate or suggest that we punish and or deal with speech that we don't like, which, by the way, in some ways happening in this state, whether you believe it or not, there's things floating around out there in this state about ethics, right? Your speech, if you work for the government, you have to have a certain set of ethics, and therefore your speech is punishable if you don't say things that we like. Folks, for me, I think you should just let the court of public opinion decide on issues of free speech. So if you say things that are evil or hateful or unkind or whatever, let the court of public opinion be the one that deals with that and not government. You see, you all watching, whether you agree with me or not, have the right to disagree. That is part of what makes us beautiful. There are many places in this nation in this world, where you get punished for hurty words, or you get punished for free speech. We are blessed in America that for the most part, we can say anything we want, really, without fear of repercussion from government or anything like that. But around this world, that is not the case. Let's look at Europe or the UK, where they arrest more people for social media posts than every country in the world combined out there in the UK. think it's something like it's either 400 people a week or 400 people a month get arrested in the UK for hurty words on social media. Not free speech. So we're blessed with free speech. But let's talk a little bit more about the latter part of this. And of course, you have the right to practice your religion and have free exercise of that. And of course, the right to free press and all that. But I like this last part is something which we have used and abused the last decade beyond reason. And by we, I mean maybe they or them, those maybe some of those of our lovely friends there on the left, maybe a little bit more than those of us that are conservative. Maybe I should call them non-conservatives. I'm so tired of right and left. You know, the real fight today is not right and left, it's good and evil. The real fight today is power over the people. The real fight today is control over our lives. The real fight today, and by the way, same bird, two wings, right? This is so much of what we've seen in modern politics. But let's get to this right of the people to peacefully assemble, or peaceably to assemble, as it says here, or to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Boy, I think most of us watching this episode today, or if you guys are listening in, we've got a few things to say about our government, right? On the federal and quite frankly, on the local level, state level, we have a lot of things to say about our government. But the key word here about this protesting is peaceably. Yes, that's right. I respect your right to protest. Whether you agree with me or not, and you want to stand in front of the Wyoming Capitol and protest the violations or what you feel are the violations of your rights, I support that. I welcome that. Please do it. But you need to understand that the minute you are no longer doing that in a peaceful manner, that means you're not blocking roads or damaging property or burning down buildings or even, I might say, obstructing law enforcement, then you have violated your right to free speech because you're not doing it peacefully. You see, any of us can go out and peacefully protest. This is our right. And by the way, you shouldn't have to get a permit for that. It's protected under the First Amendment of the Constitution. So you should not have to have, boy, here we are, this day and age where you have to get permission from government to protest government. You have to get permission from government to petition your own government for redress of grievances. You shouldn't have to get permission to do that. Hey, you might go, Joseph, well, that might bring anarchy in. Well, that is kind of the point. When you're upset with your government, you're supposed to be able to protest that peacefully. But in that right, you've got to do that the right way. And if you're not being peaceful, well, then you get what's coming to you because you're not covered under the First Amendment to be unpeaceful in your protest to petition your government. So be peaceful, and you have the right to do and say anything you want, whether it's true or not. Dare I say, whether it is hateful or not, whether it is right or not. We in the United States must accept the benefits and the consequences of our beautiful Constitution. And quite frankly, we need to stop messing with it. We need to stop redefining what this means. We shouldn't have to write bills or pieces of legislation that say students should have the right to free speech. We shouldn't have to do that, but here we are, and we just did that right here in the great state. Actually, that bill failed. Now that I think about it, the bill failed for enforcing the free speech rights of our students in high schools. But I would argue that we shouldn't need bills like that. And if you violate someone else's free speech, well, there ought to be consequences for that because the First Amendment of the Constitution protects that. So perhaps we need to look at consequences for that and stop messing with the First Amendment or trying to interpret what it means. It says what it means. We don't need to go any further. So there you go. First Amendment. Cut and dry, pretty simple. Now let's talk about the Second Amendment. You know, it's funny. I've been doing this show for a while. I've been doing a lot of shorts, doing different things for quite some time. And it occurred to me, I've never actually talked about guns on the show. Crazy, right? Anyway, I know it's an important issue in Wyoming, and maybe I feel that it should be obvious. It should be obvious, but again, this is another issue which I feel we have completely complicated. Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to to the security of a free state. And I shouldn't say and because that's not what it says. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Very simple. I mean, it's one sentence, right, you guys? One sentence with a few commas. Right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. There you go. Very, very simple. And again, this is like free speech. I feel that we have overcomplicated this issue. We across the nation, in the state, around the world. No, not around the world, because the world does not respect the Second Amendment. So I guess here in the States and obviously in the country. So with the Second Amendment, it's really simple for me, you guys. And it's why this show is going to be a little shorter today, because both of these are really simple to me. I want to see us stop legislating the Second Amendment to death. Like, how many bills did we have Second Amendment related this last session? Was there 7 or 8? Maybe even 10? I actually don't recall how many there were. I know there were a bunch. I think a few made it through. But I ask the question, why do we have to legislate this? Let's just do this. Let's shred all of our gun-related legislation and keep it really simple. Hello, welcome to Wyoming. Wyoming respects the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States, which says a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Wyoming accepts the benefits and the consequences of this decision. Full stop. Keep it simple, guys. Let's keep it simple. Let's just go back to the original intent and stop legislating the thing to death. I think part of me thinks that the reason we do this is because we need to have these political talking points. I'm pro-gun, and look at the legislation that I've made and all of the new rules or how we've tweaked it and done this. Well, how about this? Let's just roll back to the Second Amendment and accept it for what it is. Now, I think I should probably add a teeny tiny caveat to that. We go, Joseph, is there anywhere then, Joseph, that you shouldn't be able to bring firearms or guns? If you say we're just going to roll back to the Second Amendment, is there anywhere that you feel we shouldn't have those things? And I'm going to say, oh, no, I'm going to shock you right now because I just said I want to roll back to the Second Amendment. I don't think we should be able to bring firearms into a courthouse. Okay. So what is it? What is the saying? Color the kettle black. I'll be honest. I don't even know what that means. I probably should look that up before I say it. Right. I don't think you should be able to bring a gun into a courthouse. And I probably could also argue that bringing guns on airplanes in the current state of things is probably not a great idea. Other than those two things, I really can't think of another place where we should not have this right to keep and bear arms. And you might say, well, Joseph, what about schools? What about our kids? Obviously we've created a culture where, oops, what happened to my screen there? Oh, there we go. Obviously we've created a culture where we no longer know, like our kids no longer know how to safely keep and bear arms, right? There was a time and a place here in Wyoming and around the country where our kids were raised to understand how to keep and bear arms. Our kids are not raised with that. In fact, in many cases, they're raised to fear those things and to be scared of those things. We should not have gun-free zones, period. You know that those are the targets, right? Those are the targets of the bad guys. And by the way, I should mention this. This is really important to mention. Did you know that bad guys don't follow laws? Oh, funny that, right? Bad guys or gals don't follow laws. So you're going to have all the gun-free zones you want and, don't do this, don't do that, whatnot. But guess what? Or you can restrict gun purchases or have to get a license to get ammunition or have a background check to get ammunition like you do in the state of California. Okay. Many places in this nation, you have to get obviously extensive background check to even get a weapon. And then, of course, in many places, you cannot buy ammo without a background check. Go figure on that one. But funny this, we go back to this argument. Well, guess what? It doesn't work. Gun-free zones don't work. Shocker, shocker, shocker. And they end up being soft targets for bad guys or bad gals that want to do bad things. So you're not going to get rid of evil by legislating guns. You're not going to get rid of, unfortunately, tragic things happening across this nation by saying, well, hey, this is a gun-free zone. Sorry, you're going to have to check your gun at the door. You can't shoot the place up. That's just not how it works, guys. In fact, you perhaps even open the door further by creating a gun-free zone. So, they don't work because bad guys don't follow laws. So roll back to the Second Amendment. Yeah, I did list a caveat. Probably don't want people bringing their firearms into courtrooms. I think that's sort of probably not a good idea. And I think most of you, by the way, who are common sense and love your guns like I do, can agree with that, probably agree with that sentiment as well. Unless, of course, you want to somehow, make the entire room, bulletproof and protect, all of our wonderful judges and public servants and things like that. I mean, I suppose you could go that direction, but we also don't want to be the wild, wild west in our courtrooms. So that's my take on the First and Second Amendment. I know this is kind of a short show, but I would love to hear your comments below. What do you guys, did I get something wrong here? Feel free to comment below. Did I get something right? Do you agree? Please feel free to comment, share below. I'd love to hear from you guys. And with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and cut this thing off because I actually got to get to work. Of course, I get to work most days. Some days I could record the show and then go to work right away. Some days I have a little bit more flexibility in the morning, but we've got a lot to do at work today, so I got to get going here. But I hope you guys have a blessed day. Go out there, exercise your First Amendment, Second Amendment rights. Heck, exercise your First and Second Amendment rights together if you want to. Go for it. I think you should do that. It'd be really, really good. So, anyways, simple topics, at least to me. God bless you guys. Have a great day. Have a great Tuesday. Yeah, I guess it is Tuesday. And go get them, you guys. Have fun. Take care. All right, let's see. What do we want to close the show out with? Well, as you all know, I'm supposed to play the outro. Yeah, I'm going to skip the outro today, and I'm going to play. Let's wrap this show up with Mending Fences because I'm going to be doing a whole lot of that this week because we had a massive windstorm here in Cheyenne and Galaxy. I have a handyman business, and so we're going to be mending some fences. So I'm going to play Mend Fences to wrap this show up today. Take care. God bless you guys.
Granddad bowed his head in silence, calloused hands. The prayer was short. Thank you for this pot of beans and the neighbors down the road. He traded the last jar in the cellar for a stranger's broken day. Didn't ask who they were voting for, just helped hitch up their hay. They didn't have to be right, they just did what was right. Saddled up and rode together through the hard pan, through the firelight. When a storm hit one old farmhouse, every hand in town was there. They believed in rest and repair, mended fences 'cause they cared. Grandma said 2 extra places at some point. We're all in need. Shared to gossip with a chuckle, but she'd show up when you'd bleed. When a barn burned down at midnight, you could see the land glow. Men and women side by side in their Sunday work clothes. They didn't have to be right, they just did what was right. Saddled up and rode together through the hard pan, through the firelight. When a storm hit one old farmhouse, every hand in town was there. They believed in rest and repair, mended fences 'cause they cared. Now we're screaming from our corners on a glowing little screen, throwing stones at second cousins over things we've never seen. But I remember muddy boots stacked beside that Bible chair. The grit, the cold, the quiet nod. Come on in, we'll meet you there. They didn't have to be right, they just did what was right. Saddled up and rode together through the hard pan, through the firelight. When a storm hit one old farmhouse, every hand in town was there. They believed in rest and repair, mended fences 'cause they